and welcome to Lurking for Legends, a live video cast where we talk with people from all walks of the publishing industry. I'm Christy Stratus, historical fantasy and historical suspense author, and my awesome co-hosts are epic fantasy author Richard H. Stevens and science fiction author Santa Claus, otherwise known as David M. Kelly. We didn't know he was both, but we now know. So Lurking for Legends is an interactive broadcast, and we encourage viewers to chime in with questions for our guests or comment on what you hear in the show. So tonight, our guest is running a little bit late, so we're hoping that she will show up in a little while. But in the meantime, while we wait for her, we're just going to do what we do every time and talk about what's going on with us for now. So you guys are looking great. This is hilarious because right before the show, I was like, oh, guys, I'm going to wear a Christmas sweater. I don't know if you guys want to do anything. And I have been way outshone. You guys look fantastic.
Aw.
I love it.
You're my friend.
Is that Hillary?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. I
That's
just
awesome.
love it.
I don't have a chocolate Santa.
I don't even know if we need to ask what Santa's up to because he needs to buy his presents and stuff.
I think he's been at David's house.
He's been at David's.
I think Dave is Santa.
My God.
Yep.
Like I originally years ago,
My
I thought it was
secret
Tim Allen who's
identity.
Santa. And then I realized it's not Tim Allen who's Santa. It's actually David M. Kelly is the real Santa Claus. That mustache is out of control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're missing something here.
Yeah, I mean you have enough hair, but you could use more down here.
Well,
So what has Santa/David been up to?
well, today I actually have some news.
Ooh.
I know that's not usually the case for me, but today I actually have some really, really fantastic news, and that is that Christmas is coming. No, sorry. No, yesterday I finished the second draft of the third Logan Two Feathers book. So it's all done, and
Awesome.
I've been handed off to my first reader, and she's going through it, and she's already saying, ugh. Anyway.
What's happening?
Hillary.
I'm sure she's gonna love it.
I'm going to get into trouble for that now, you know.
You are, yes. But she can't give Santa heck because then she'll get a lump of coal.
Well, not online.
That'd be funny if you saw a great big hook just come onto the screen and
Monty Python style.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations. You've been working on that for a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I've got that done. I hate editing.
That's your least favorite part.
What about yourself, Richard? What news have you got?
I just finished my last two shows of this year. We actually rented mall space, so I actually had a 937 square foot storefront, and we didn't have enough stuff to fill it, so we just kind of brought our tables close to the front door. But it went very well on the Saturday, and then I did a little event on Sunday at this local Portuguese club, and it wasn't as good, but we still got some more books in people's hands. So, but it's a big relief to not have to do as much as I really enjoy doing them. It's time to have a few weekends off. And that being said, of course, we're going to be hosting Christmas at our place on the 24th and the 25th, two different sides of the family. So we're not getting a weekend off next weekend. And then we jump into the Happy New Year weekend. So I think we're going to have to wait into the new year before we actually get a weekend off. But
like a real weekend off.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. We can actually sit back and relax and not have to hook the trailer up and get out to the events real early in the morning and slug books and tables and everything else and set up and stress over, your sites and everything else. And as much as I love doing them, it's going to be nice not to do them for a little bit. But I've also been doing a little bit more on the When Legends Rise. I'm actually getting some writing time in now, which is nice.
Oh,
and,
good.
It's not going as quickly as I want it to, but it's going quicker than it was. So that's a positive thing.
Well, you have to plan. It's going to be 200,000 words, so it's going to take.
It's funny you say that. I honestly don't know how long it's going to be, but they seem to be getting longer and longer as the thing goes. The last one was 669 pages, so if this one tops that, it'll be close to 200,000 words for sure. So anyway, how about you, Christine? What's up with you?
Well, let's see. This week, on yesterday, episode 22 of Corrupted Magic went up on Kindle Vella, and
Yay!
and it was up
Ho,
on
ho,
Friday
ho.
on Patreon. So in this one,
Santa's been in the eggnog.
yeah. Oh my goodness. I loved the Christmas intro music, by the way. That was a surprise to me too. I was very excited. So in this episode called The Missing Piece, the remaining members of Dark X tried to break into Grimoire Assassin's house and rescue Gertrude, but it goes sideways really, really fast. So it's another really exciting episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you're looking for something Christmassy, A Very Grimoire Christmas just went up on Sunday on my Patreon, and its author notes are separate. There's a whole bunch of them as well. So lots to read, lots to enjoy. That one is just lighthearted. It's a lot of fun. It's warm. It still has fantasy in it though. And we've got some Victorian traditions, and in the author's notes, you'll find out what really existed and what didn't. So, I was just super excited to be able to write something Christmas. Very cool. So that's my news. Dave, you win the Fab Christmas Spirit Award.
I don't know which dress as a Christmas tree is a pretty good second place, I think.
I love it. I love these flashing lights. They're fantastic.
I'm the present under the tree.
Santa delivers you. Oh my goodness.
I'll never get him down a chimney.
These Christmas tree antlers they're fantastic. These are new.
So if anyone's coming on late, we were waiting for Christine Milkovic to sign in. Apparently she's having trouble trying to access StreamYard, so I've resent her the link through email, and I haven't heard anything back from her yet. So we'll just kind of fill in some time and just talk about whatever. If anyone has any questions about writing or about us, please feel free to ask them. And if you want to chime in with your Christmas plans, let us know about those too. And welcome, Anita. I saw you're on there as well, out east. I was just talking the day before we went on air. He's got a lot of snow up there. We have kind of a skiff of snow here, but it's stuck to the ground and it won't disappear, but it's not very deep. What about you, Christy? I know you're south of us, but you're on the East Coast, so you guys get socked sometimes with more snow than we do in southern Ontario anyway.
We've had nothing. We've been so unlucky. It's been years since we really got, maybe once or twice a year we'll get really good snow. But it used to be that we got a ton of snow, and that just doesn't happen anymore. It used to be every winter you're guaranteed a lot of snow, and that's just not happening in New Jersey anymore. So, New York has definitely already gotten it. They are always getting it when we're not getting it. They're stealing our snow all the time. And I'm super jealous because I personally, CJ wants to live where, closer to where I live so that you guys can have less snow. I want to live where you live because I'm so jealous of your snow. I am a snow lover.
Well, we'll have to swap places for the winter. It'll be like our winter residence. We'll stay at your place and you can stay up here.
I would be perfectly happy. I like being snowed in. I like going out in the snow. I like all of it.
So you must, I know you're in New Jersey. New Jersey is like on the other side of the river from New York City, is it not?
They're right next to you, right below. We're right below. So, it's the weirdest thing. When New York gets snow, we don't always get it. A lot of the time they get it and we don't get it. Yeah. And it's weird because I went to college in Pennsylvania, which is west of here, and used to get a lot more snow there too. And New Jersey's just left out. It just does not get the snow.
How far of a drive would it be for you to get to New York?
It depends. It depends on when you're going, but it can be a couple hours.
Like so you're a bit of a distance away then.
Yeah. I'm in Central Jersey, so I'm not right up against it or anything. So that's
funny how weather works like that, isn't it? Because when I was in England, I went to university in Manchester and lived in Huddersfield. And to get there, I went on a train across underneath the Pennine Hills. And it's like whatever the weather was in where I lived, it was the exact opposite in Manchester and vice versa. So it's like if it was raining like where I lived, I went to university and it was dry. And if it was dry where I was, it was raining over in Manchester. It was like, it's crazy sort of like thing.
That is weird.
And where I am now, it's like we get like Sudbury, it's like it's in a basin. And so what happens is the weather fronts come down. I'm doing a Bill Murray here. The weather fronts come down, and we've got all this snow up on the hills.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the weather comes towards us off the lakes, and then kind of like splits around the basins, and then carries on.
Oh my God, that's so weird.
It's like it happens loads of times. It's crazy. You watch the radar, and it's just kind of like goes round us. It's like a lot of the time. So yeah.
You got like what is that, like the opposite with a magnet? You've got like the opposite. Yeah.
You've got a repulsor beam.
That's it. That's it. That's too funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Have either of you guys ever written anything Christmas? This is my very first time, except for like one dark piece, but it was very short. It really.
I did a short story which I actually gave away free last Christmas, which is kind of set at Christmas time, but it's not a Christmas story. But it's set kind of like in the winter sort of thing, and it was quite nice. It was one of my Castaneda mystery type things, which
that's nice.
People seem to enjoy. So, but yeah, I haven't done an actual Christmas story.
That's pretty cool. Actually, what you're talking about right now, where you're saying there's Christmas kind of like involved in it, but it's not about Christmas. I actually like movies like that a lot too. Is yours still available? Was that like one of those freebies that you only gave out for a short time, or is it still out there?
No, I gave it out for a short time, just over the period, and I haven't published it yet, although it should be published.
Yeah.
I should do that.
Just in time for Christmas.
What the hell am I doing? It's like I'm an author and I'm not publishing stories. Yeah.
That's too funny. We have Anita Stewart publishes as AF Stewart saying, I wrote several short stories for Christmas charity anthologies. Yeah, that is cool. Really cool. That's a lot. Were they dark, Anita? Because I know that my favorite stuff of yours is dark fantasy, actually. Also horror, but the dark fantasy is really typically my favorite of yours. Anita's a really good writer. In case you aren't familiar with her, if you're watching. So anyway, yeah. So as I was saying, like you're saying, it's like kind of during the Christmas season. I was just watching a movie last night where I really like these, film noir types of movies. And David was just talking about watching a Doris Day movie recently, and I was watching this film noir that has Charles McGraw, if you're familiar with him, and I consider it a Christmas movie only because like it's during Christmas and people are decorating and there's like these big trees and they look so different than today too. They're all like spindly, with like the thin rows of branches. Very, very different than what we typically have today. Much more Victorian looking, I guess you could say. So we got sneaky things going on up there.
No, our technical director just came flying through, and she's in her nighttime wear now. But apparently, Mickey Mickelson, the publicist, has been in contact with her, trying to get our guest in here. And I'm not sure what trouble she's having with. So,
okay.
Caroline's working behind the scenes to try and get our guest in. I'm not sure what the problem is.
And in case anybody's wondering what that film noir was, it's called Roadblock, in case you're interested in like 40s and 50s noir that happens to take place at Christmas time. Lots of fun. So Anita is saying, some were dark. I asked if they were dark. Some were, but I also wrote some humorous ones. My favorite is the North Pole War between elves and reindeer. That sounds good. That's fun.
I thought they were supposed to be friends.
I know. Everything's ruined.
Although if you watch the old Rudolph, it gets pretty dark when they kick poor Rudolph out of he leaves, and he looks like he's about to take care of himself and runs into a Yeti.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. There's a great question here from CJ Davidson, and I'm going to let you guys read it because I'm going to try and find a J.E. Taylor book that is an excellent paranormal Christmas. I'll be right.
Do any of you write over the holidays, or do you take a break, Dave?
Well, I sometimes do. It depends what I'm doing. I tend to actually be more, for some reason, in terms of timing, I tend to be doing more editing over the holidays than actual writing. But I don't stop. Yeah, I mean, I get very down if I stop writing, so I just kind of carry on, and no matter what. it's not a good thing when I stop. So I just carry on writing regardless.
I agree with you.
But I do take it a little bit easy. Obviously, you've got to kind of like take some time for yourself and celebrate the season and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I will. If Caroline has to work, then I will work and I'll write. And if she doesn't, then I won't. So it all depends on what's going on around here. It's it's kind of a break between Christmas and New Year's. So if she's having days off, then I will take days off with her so we can enjoy them together. But if she has to work for her company, then I will sit in the office with her and do my stuff. So mine's hit and miss.
Hillary says, I hear you have a special episode coming up in February. Are there any details you can share about that yet, or is it being kept under wraps? Ooh.
I'll let Dave handle that one. Dave's spearheading this episode. So
I am.
Yes, Dave's the mastermind. Chrissy and I are just.
Well, it's looking goes wild. So take from that what you will.
Is that all you're going to give us?
It's the 100th episode, and it's going to be. We're going to be reading Oscar Wilde, and it will be the importance of being earnest.
It's going to be fun.
And the cool part about that episode is it is episode number 100.
And Christy's one of the earnests.
Yes. And I'm going
to. We haven't decided yet.
Do you two have a relationship in this one too?
You never know.
It looks like we've finally got our guest.
Excellent. Let's bring her on and I will introduce her.
Go ahead. Do you want me to bring her on?
I don't want to double click on you.
Okay, I will bring her on. Here she comes.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Sorry about the mix-up. I had an old link for Google Meet. I didn't have this link, and so it was going to a different email. So sorry about that.
Oh,
no problem.
Glad to finally be here.
We were just talking about Christmas, and you have such a beautiful, beautiful background. Look at your tree. It's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. I like the costumes you guys have on, too. You're all festive.
We were ready. We were definitely ready.
That's not a costume for Dave. That's his normal life.
Oh, it's Movember still kind of kicking around, leftovers.
Well, that's his hat, but other than that, yeah. Movember, yeah.
So welcome, Christine. Christine Milkovic Krauss is a children's author, children's nonfiction, I believe, but anyway, children's author, and we're super excited to have you here. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your writing, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Christine, and so about a year and a half ago, I adopted this cat, Teddy, who's joining us here, and he lost his ears to frostbite in Saskatchewan, and during the fostering process, I decided to adopt him, and he fit in with the family, and because I wasn't helping with the fostering anymore, I still want to give back in a way, and I thought Teddy had such a unique story, and it just needed to be told, so now some of the book sales go to help donations for the rescue organization.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so wonderful. She's beautiful. Look at her sitting there. She looks so sweet too.
And very, yes. I mean, in the last year and a half, she would still feel like she had to fight for everything and swat us and that sort of stuff just to go outside or get some food. But she's calmed down now. She's chilling with the kids, hangs with the family. She's my ultimate lap cat.
Oh, that's so sweet. So she inspired you to start writing for children then?
Yes, she did. And I've always wanted to write a children's book. I guess I was just waiting for the right inspiration. And the combination of Teddy's stories and the journey that we've gone through for the adoption and the kids' reactions to it. I mean, the stories really just wrote themselves.
That's so nice.
That's wonderful. We love cats at our house. I have a lap cat she's 17 years old, and we thought we were going to lose her about a couple months ago, and she's rebounded and she's doing very well again. And she's actually the inspiration behind the main dragon in my book. So the main dragon in my books is named after the cat, which is kind of fun.
What's the dragon/cat's name?
Well, her real name is something different, but for years she always sat on my hutch above my desk looking down at me, and I always called her my little lurker, long before I ever wrote a dragon into my books. And then when you first meet a dragon in my books, the dragon's looking down on the protagonist, and the protagonist is afraid that the dragon's going to eat her. And when she goes to name him a little while later, she can't pronounce his real name, so she remembers her first encounter with him, and she calls him her lurker. So I used to always call our cat my lurker. I said, "Oh, you're up there lurking again, are you?" And so she adopted the cat's nickname.
That's amazing. And now we're lurking with legends here.
That's right. Well, that's where that came from. Exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Yeah,
So, Christine, obviously, you know, I mean, the story is about Teddy, the cat, this cat that you adopted. So, could you tell us? I mean, did you write prior to getting Teddy, or was he the whole catalyst?
I never followed through with anything. So because I would have ideas swirling around and I just never wrote them down. But like I said, it pretty much wrote itself because it was a true story. And I was able to kind of trace Teddy's story backwards and kind of put the pieces together and simplify it and then get the message through to kids. So the whole process was only about 6 months. The first story is called Teddy Loses His Ears. And on every page of the book, there's a hidden mouse for kids to find. And at the back of the book, there's a scan code if people wanted to donate. And yeah, this story is kind of more like about kindness and acceptance. And I think children really relate to Teddy as like a lovable character. But in the story, he experiences the same emotions with like the change in his appearance as maybe a child who has a disability would feel. And so a lot of children have related to the story a lot. And then ultimately, you know, the moral of the story is please keep your pets indoors when it snows, because this is 100% preventable injury.
No, absolutely. We had a cat that we had to amputate its tail. When we got the cat, we got it from a shelter, but like a home, and it had a crick in its tail. It was a kitten. So we took it to the Humane Society up here in Canada, and they said, you should amputate the tail because there's no feeling beyond that crick in the tail. And they said if it ever gets it stuck, the cat will fight until it rips its tail right off.
Oh,
and then
wow.
It'll be in bigger trouble at that point. So they suggested we amputate it. So we paid for the amputation. And then Isis was the name of the cat. It had this little stub of a tail. So you couldn't even see it wag really. But yeah, and she was fine without her tail. You know, she was a house cat, so she didn't really need it. But she never knew any difference. She grew up without a tail. And actually she actually got out once, and we couldn't find her for a few days, and then we put up posters saying the cat without a tail, and right away people knew exactly where they'd seen her, so they pointed us to where she was, and we found her in some neighbor's house, you know, way down the block, sitting on the hot tub.
Kind of sounds like you have a story there, like Isis looks for his tail and he goes missing in the process, and
I think he went up the farmer's clock and they cut off his tail with a carving knife or something. Yeah, we'll play on that old rhyme. Yeah.
The 3 blind mice and Isis.
And the cat, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Very cute.
So
go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You're the guest. I would love for you to say whatever you wanted to say.
Oh, okay, thank you. So just a year after Teddy Loses His Ears released, we wrote another book, which was the original storyline, Teddy Loves Spaghetti. It rhymed and it was super cute, and also a true story. Teddy really does love spaghetti, and it's kind of a story about our family and just having dinner around the table together, and Teddy kind of inserts himself in there and wants to play the spaghetti too. And but you know, just because they like the food that we eat doesn't mean we should always give it to them, because it could be toxic to them. And so this book kind of talks about nutrition and touches on diabetes awareness a little bit for kids, and also for pets, and signs to look for, and alternatives to food-based rewards as well. Because when I was losing weight, you know, we always want to celebrate with food, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, let's go out for dinner and celebrate. But, you know, when you're on a weight loss journey or something, you don't want to do that. So I was always looking for alternatives to food-based rewards to celebrate with, like a pedicure, or, you know, getting your nails done or your hair done, or a massage, or going swimming, or hot yoga. So I just thought I would incorporate that into the pets as well.
That's awesome. And I have to ask because everyone knows that it's the sauce that makes the spaghetti. Noodles are noodles, really. So, what's Teddy's favorite sauce?
Marinara for sure, the meat
Marinara.
sauce. Yes, but I just have to not put onions in it now because she likes it so much. She just keeps jumping on the table and wants to have it. Any kind of pasta, really. So I just have to make sure there's no onions and things in there. But it's a treat for sure.
Well, Teddy and I get along really well because onions don't like me either. So.
Yeah,
that's
really common.
Doesn't agree. Yeah, I know. Once you hit 40, I get all sorts of heartburn from all
Exactly.
sorts of things now.
Yeah, onions and I are not friends. I love the smell of fried onions, but I just can't eat them anymore.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
So, sorry, just wondering. So, was Teddy's original name, or did you name him? Or
I did not name him, so I was able to trace that back to somebody who was fostering Teddy, and she named him Teddy because he was just cuddly like a little teddy bear, and then without ears, he has little nubs and just kind of looks like a teddy bear. So, and we loved the name, and it suits this one, so we decided to keep it.
That's sweet.
cool.
Did you have to do something special to his ears now that he's? Like, I imagine that the ears probably protect the inner chambers from debris and stuff like that. Do you need to do something special with him?
Exactly, yeah. So he's more susceptible to dirt and debris getting in there. So we just have to clean his ears with a little bit of oil and Q-tips every now and then, just to keep him clean. But he's doing all right. He can still hear. He can still call when we call his name and that sort of thing. So, which is a lot of questions people had about him.
Right.
In the first book, we addressed that because people often see somebody who looks different and they have a lot of questions, but they may not necessarily talk to that person directly. They'll just whisper to their friends. And, that's not the kind of vibe we want to put out there. If you have a question about someone, ask them directly. Hear the story right from them, because everybody has a story. And then when you listen, you really learn about other people instead of whispering theories and talking behind people's backs, which is rude. So, yeah, just trying to teach kids that it's okay to ask those questions.
That's great. Yeah. I saw, in your bio that the series touches on self-esteem and disability awareness. And so I wondered if that was something that you already had this interest in, and then Teddy was like, okay, now I know how to get my message across, or was this interest something that came with Teddy?
It was an interest that came with Teddy. And plus I have children of my own now, and children are just naturally curious and they ask a lot of questions, and you don't want them to be rude and say things out in public that are judgmental. Just if you have a question for your friends, just ask them, and instead of hearing what other people have to say about them. And I mean, children now are just raised with so much kindness and stuff, and like they've learned so many lessons that we as a society have learned over time. It's just spend more time listening and less time talking.
So you mentioned your own children there, Christine, and so I mean, do they help you with writing the Teddy stories? And I mean, how do they feel about mom being an author?
Well, they love it. They take the books to school for show and tell, and they're in kindergarten. My son was up there at the front of the class holding the book up and reading it and then showing the pictures. And I recently went on a field trip with my daughter, and all her friends gathered around, and we're like, is there another book coming out soon? They were so excited. I felt like a major celebrity in the grade 2 class, right? So they love it. And it's just something interesting for them. So my children, did they help write the story? Unintentionally, just because I would say something to them about the cat, and then they would make a statement, and I'm like, that's really good. I'm going to include that in the book. But my daughter has been inspired. So originally I was going to co-write and illustrate the book with my daughter. And she was only 8 years old at the time. She's a great artist though. And she would draw Teddy all the time, but she wouldn't follow my story. She just kept writing her own stories. So one good thing about it is, I mean, she comes home with these books that she makes, and she makes her own Teddy stories. They're different from mine, but it's getting her, being creative herself. So I love it. Maybe it's inspiring to them.
I'm
So
sure.
speaking of your illustrator, who is your illustrator? I saw on the cover. I can't recall the name that was on there now, but so you obviously don't do the pictures yourself.
I do not know. So because my daughter was going off on her own little drawing tangents, I mean, I couldn't really, if I want to get this book out in the next 10 years, I had to go a different way. So I dropped my daughter like a hot potato. And it's funny, I was just on Marketplace and I saw a girl who was selling her handmade greeting cards to raise money for nursing school. And she actually had a picture of a cat with Christmas lights wrapped around it. So I messaged her and I said, here's a picture of my cat. Can you kind of do the same similar type of drawing, but the cat has no ears and this is what he looks like. But I want a cat with a bowl of spaghetti and spaghetti on his head, slurping up the noodles. And I'd also like a different drawing with a cat who's kind of mid losing his ears, like they're defrosting, which I think that would be very hard to depict via an illustration, but she completely nailed it. So when I went to go to her house, she's a local girl. So I just paid her like $25 for a little card that she hand painted. And when I picked it up, I was like, I'm thinking about writing a children's book. If I double what you're asking, would you be interested in, doing pages for me? And she was totally on board. And she nails it every time. She's so talented. We collaborate very, very well together. And I just sent her the stories and she's like, the story jumps off the page. I know exactly what you're thinking and exactly what you want.
That is so great.
So it was fate that I was to meet her too. Yeah. And then we found out later, once the book published, a lot of people I work with obviously support me and bought the book for their kids or nieces and nephews. And they're like, Sierra Van Ness. They're like, that's kind of an unusual name. We recognize that last name. Is she related to so-and-so, another guy who works in the agency? And I'm like, well, I don't know that guy, but yeah, so I'm a border officer. And so her father is actually a border officer too. And her and I had never talked about that. So it's like that 6 degrees of separation.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was noticing on her bio, which is on your site, she says each of these pages are painted by hand with acrylic paint, something not often done in book illustrations anymore, which echoes the uniqueness of Teddy. So it really does seem like you two were kind of like destined to meet for this project.
I really think so. Yeah. And it's true. Like most people graphically design their children's art. So I like that she hand paints everything and it's so beautiful. Some of the depictions, like where Teddy's in a snowstorm, finding the barn. It's so detailed and it's just a winter wonderland. And she really captures absolutely everything. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. We are a match made in heaven, honestly.
So you guys attend book shows together?
Well, I've never been to a book show, actually.
You haven't done a book signing yet?
Only for book club, the girls in my book club group, but no, I haven't yet. But Chapters has asked me to bring copies of the book by, and she goes, we would absolutely love to have you. And she said, especially if you bring Teddy with you, like in the catio, she's like, it would just be such a popular booth. So I'm hoping to retouch base with them because the Christmas season has been so busy. Mm-hmm. So maybe in the new year, that's an endeavor me and Teddy are going to test out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys would really enjoy it. I've done an Indigo one too. The only thing with doing Indigo is they want 45% of your profit, but it's still, well, at least ours did. But it's still cool to get out there and actually sell your books in a bookstore and do signings, stuff like that. Like, when I do that, I actually feel like an author at that point. Most times people say, oh, you're an author. And it doesn't really, I'm not like, wow, I'm an author. I don't feel like one. As opposed to, if someone mentions Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, oh, wow, those guys are awesome. I don't think about that with me. And then, but when you go to Chapters, you're actually in a bookstore surrounded by, books, and
you're in your element. Yeah, I'm so excited to do that.
You can puff your chest out and go, yeah, that's me. But
I'm a big deal.
I didn't mind paying the 45%, just to have that experience. I don't know if I keep doing it, but it's a lot of fun for sure.
Especially in a local bookstore where some friends can come by and support you, and you feel support it. But I don't know what kind of profits they would take, but there's definitely not a lot of money in being an author unless you're J.K. Rowling.
No, that's right. Yeah. No, you got to sell 20
more of
million
a labor of love and a
That's right.
passion project for me.
for sure.
So you mentioned in your bio that your children are avid users of the school library, which is kind of like terrific in this day and age. I was obsessed with going to libraries when I was younger, and that's how I kind of like got started reading so many books and everything. So anyway, I was just kind of like wondering, have you done much kind of promotion and outreach for your book with local schools and public libraries? And could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So I haven't done a lot. I have a full-time job and 2 kids and another little business on the side, and I'm building a house as well. So it's been a very busy year. But I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and they want to put me on the circuit to do book readings and signings at the school. But I know all the kids in the neighborhood, like we're the flop house for all the kids to come and hang out here. And they all we have 5 different elementary schools just in like a 8-block radius. So I gave all of them books to bring to school and to give to their librarians as Christmas gifts. And so I know a lot of kids take the books out of the library at the schools locally, but I haven't really branched out from my community yet.
That's great. That was really great, though. I saw on your site that you also have some free coloring pages that kids can print out and color in Teddy, too.
Yeah, they absolutely can. So, I mean, I get little pictures of kids who they hold their Teddy books. Their parents send me pictures on Messenger, and they're holding their Teddy books at night, and they won't go to bed without that story. They really love this cat, especially knowing it's a real cat. So I thought, well, maybe some kids would enjoy those coloring pages. So we just kind of stripped the color off of some of the artwork and put it there so parents can head on over to the website if they have little fans that love to color.
Yeah, we just popped that into the chat, and there is very seasonal appropriate. There's one, the first one actually there is Teddy with a little star on his head and little lights all around him, which is super, super cute. So
it kind of looks like Richard in a way.
Yeah. A little bit cuter than Richard. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I, as an author, you're always banging in social media about my books, basically you want people to buy your books, and you get a couple people like it. You have your diehard followers that will like anything that you do. It doesn't matter what you say, but it's hard to get any traction. And I post a picture of my cat, Lurker. We post a picture of Lurker, and all of a sudden, the place goes crazy. But we're not selling books; we're selling the cat. So.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to draw people into like Teddy at home and his lifestyle, because there's Facebook pages, followers for just cat fans, right? I mean, and they've got millions and millions of viewers. So I'm like, okay, there's just a fan base for cats. So
for sure there is. So you'll probably get good traction of that. Like, I'm going to have to find myself a real dragon, and then maybe if I keep posting the dragon, they'll follow my dragon and buy my books. Yeah.
Well, I know my kids would love that. Yeah, their favorite animal is a dragon. So
I got to find one though. They're hard to see. They're hard to find, and they're even harder to catch.
In demand.
No doubt.
So
maybe Dave or Santa will deliver you one.
What's that?
I
said maybe Dave/Santa will deliver you one.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've been good enough for Dave to do that though.
Maybe an egg.
Yeah.
Dragon's
I'm not
egg.
sure. I'm not sure about that either.
I'm gonna get a lump of coal, I think. But so Teddy stories in the future. So you've got the Teddy Loves Spaghetti, and you've got his original one. Are there more coming?
There are more coming. There's still 2 that have been written and are currently in draft process with the illustrations. Teddy Gets Adopted is going to focus more on maybe how like foster children feel going through changing houses and maybe not really understanding what happened to their family. And I'm relating that to maybe Teddy being in a back alley and the SPCA rescues his family, but he kind of gets left behind, probably eating spaghetti out of a garbage can behind an Italian restaurant, right? And then he gets sent around to all these foster homes, and I try to relate his emotions to things and experiences that foster kids might feel, and how he really just wants to be adopted. And then we highlight in that book the rescue organizations that, and all of the cat find agencies that kind of brought Teddy to me. So it's going to be like a geographical map of Canada, and then Teddy's journey from Saskatchewan into Alberta and over to BC, so kids can kind of maybe get a sense of the geography of, at least locally.
Sure.
And yeah, we're going to talk more about the adoption process in that book. And then the following book is called Teddy Visits the Vet. And this book does reveal a very big surprise about Teddy at the end. But for now, the basis of that book is like just children visiting the doctor and the dentist, and relating that to information I found out about Teddy. Like, I thought he was a 3-year-old cat, but they were able to tell by the length of his teeth that he's actually 7 years old.
Wow.
And then just some discoveries about how afraid she was of the vet and this and that. So but I can't really tell too much about that one because it's going to be a big surprise.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers, exactly.
So is that Teddy's journey through those 3 provinces?
Yes. So Teddy was originally found by a cowboy in a barn in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. So it was like minus 50 degrees weather, and he went out to the barn to feed the horses, and he noticed that their horse trough was totally frozen. So, and he never does this apparently, but he lifted the horse trough out of its where it was placed so he could chip the ice out of it and then refill it with fresh water. And underneath there is where he found this frozen half-dead cat. So that cat was Teddy.
Wow.
So he's traveled quite a bit. And for anyone who's not familiar with how big Canada is, each one of those provinces that you mentioned is bigger than most countries in the world. So he traveled through 3 of those, and that's quite. So you're obviously in BC, so he's gone through 3 different provinces. So he's well traveled already. That's pretty cool. It's almost like I don't know if you ever saw that. I can't remember the name of the story, but the 3 there's a cat and 2 dogs, and
The Incredible Journey.
That's it. Yes, I loved that show when the kids were young. We used to watch it.
It was my favorite movie as a child, and then they've remade it like 3 times, and my kids love it too.
I always cringe when the poor dog gets the porcupine quills in his nose.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that was
my saddest part is when the Siamese cat falls into the river.
Yeah.
Right, and then you think the cat's dead, but thank goodness it wasn't.
Homeward Bound. There we go. There's another one. Yeah.
Homeward Bound. Yes. So part of the Across Canada journey is like, these are volunteers who go across Canada to, oh God, I like the comments. Oh yes, they are spirit animals. They really choose us. So the volunteers, they go out there on their own time and go to like garbage dumps and round up these stray animals, and they probably go from Manitoba back to BC direct. They only stop to pee and quickly walk the dogs, and oftentimes deliver puppies or kittens en route as well. And that's all they stop for. So it's really tireless, selfless, heartbreaking work that these volunteers are doing. So it's really to raise awareness for those people who are heroes, honestly.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be rewarding too, I think, if you can take these animals from these destitute places and actually get them into a nice home like yours, where you actually care for the animal and give it a meaningful life again.
And there's hundreds of foster volunteers who, so that's what I want to promote too, is for people to consider that as an option, because a lot of people can't travel, or they can't have pets for various reasons, or they can't commit to 10, 20 years of their life. But maybe you could commit to 3 weeks, and you could take in a litter of kittens and have such a joyful 3 weeks, and you get to name them all, and then they pay for all the food and the supplies and the vet visits, and then that they're you're giving them a temporary home while they're waiting to be adopted. So it could be so fun for people, especially my kids. Like, they love naming animals, and if you could bring a different animal in all the time, I mean, and they understand that we're not keeping it, it's not forever. It's so fun, and it's very rewarding, and you're really taking a burden off of the shelters by volunteering and helping out. I can't anymore. I've tried with lots. I had 13 kittens here in the summertime, and Teddy did not come home. He stayed outside all summer, but for the 2 weeks I had all those cats, he was pissed right off at me.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a cat like that too. But I don't know how you give the cats away afterwards. I think if I had 13 kittens, I would all of a sudden be the owner of 13 kittens.
Oh my God, I sit in a room with like a bunch of empty cardboard boxes, and I just film it, and I sit there with my kids, and we just laugh and are entertained for hours.
Oh, I bet. But I couldn't give them up. I mean,
yes. It is hard, but you know they're going to good homes, and then you just volunteer for more later, so you always get that fun kitten stage.
It's true.
No,
do you think Teddy will be the only topic you write about, or do you see yourself down the line doing any other kind of series or anything that's not related to Teddy?
You know, I don't see myself doing anything else. I think it's I got all my eggs riding on this basket right here. It provides me with all the inspiration I need, and I have like 10 stories in my head that I want to get out there just from Teddy alone. So I think I'm going to stick with this genre.
Here's the cover of Teddy Loves Spaghetti.
It's just adorable. You gotta love it.
So does Teddy know he's a celebrity now? Like, is he getting hard to live with now? Is his head really big? Or?
He's starting to demand like fancy feast food versus just Krispies. Yeah. I had to get him like a flowing water fountain to drink out of. Stagnant water was just not good enough anymore.
No. That's right. He's on a highbrow.
It's funny because kids do come knocking at the door asking if Teddy can come out to play. I don't know that he knows he's a celebrity, but he knows I love him lots, so that's what really matters.
Yeah, he knows he's loved for sure.
And that's such a touching story when that cowboy found him. So it was like Teddy was on the cusp of death, and it's almost like he won the Powerball lottery. Next thing you know, his life has changed forever, and obviously for the better. So it's an amazing story.
It is an amazing story, and like no matter how down and out we are, or down on our luck, like things can always turn around, and then from rags to riches kind of story here. Hey,
right? That's so true.
That's great.
Really nice. Just
Thank
so nice.
you.
Perfect for this time of year too. Very heartwarming.
It is.
Yes, and the snowy scene is like perfect for Christmas time and stuff as well. Yeah, it's a good winter book.
Yeah.
They have to do a Christmas book with Teddy.
Well, that's one of the 10 that's in my head. We had Teddy's first Christmas last year. I had Teddy, the picture that you saw with Teddy with the Christmas lights wrapped around. I had family pajamas made of Teddy's first Christmas.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're geeks.
So you're saying, sorry, go ahead, Christy.
No, I said as long as Teddy gets them too, it's okay.
So do you have
Teddy was in the photo with us.
Do you have other full-time pets around the house?
No, not right now. Teddy's, like I said, rules the roost. No one else is allowed. My tenant has a dog, and there's lots of neighbors who walk their dogs in the neighborhood, and all the dogs want to be Teddy's friend, and she's not interested. Really?
That's great.
She does know she's a celebrity then, definitely.
Yeah, that's probably why she's like, keep walking.
Oh my goodness.
So my stepdaughter, she writes children's books as well, and I'm just curious as to where do you publish them through? Like when you get them printed, is a local printer you use, or
just Amazon actually?
Oh, that's
Amazon. Yeah, everything is printed directly through Amazon, and they will. You can order author copies,
right?
And otherwise, it's print on demand.
Right. Okay.
Where did she print hers?
Oh, we were about an hour south of Toronto, so I'm in a place at Kitchener-Waterloo. So we just order. There's a little print shop in Scarborough, which is on the far east side of Toronto, And if I order a whole bunch of books, instead of shipping them, I just drive up and pick them up. So it takes me a couple hours to get through Toronto traffic, but it's a lot cheaper than ordering them on Amazon for sure.
Oh, worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Even if you had to ship them, it's still a lot cheaper than Amazon. I've had to do some emergency copies on Amazon just because I was running short for a show that I had back to back, and I've got them off Amazon. This is the nice thing about Amazon is that you can get them the next day if you sometimes, which is really cool, but it's so expensive. Like you can probably save my one book. I was saving probably $8-9 a copy.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was running almost $20 for this. Like the book's over 600 pages, but it was running almost $20 to buy author copies off Amazon, and I could get them on my printer a lot cheaper than that. So even with the shipping, it's worth it.
That's the one. Like it's great for customers who are purchasing on Amazon, just like 1 or 2 books for themselves.
Yeah.
But when you want author copies, your Prime membership doesn't kick in. They make sure they charge you the shipping, and books are not light.
Well, the way to get around that is you go into Amazon and you knock the book price down to so you're not making a cent in royalties, and then you go on just as a customer and you order as many books as you want. Your Prime shipping will now kick in. So you're not getting your royalties in 3 months. You're just not getting royalties at all, but you're getting them a lot cheaper, and they will ship them again the next day. You don't have to pay for shipping. And as soon as you put the order in, you go back in Amazon again, and you adjust the price back up to where you want it.
Wow. Thank you so much for the amazing tip.
Just a little bit of fiddling around, but as soon as you adjust the price originally to 0, like you're making 0 cents, then you have to wait for Amazon to approve it. And they're generally pretty quick. They're done in 3 or 4 hours. And as soon as that email comes in, get in there right away, order your copies, and then just bump the price back up. And, if a couple of people buy your book and you don't make any money, so what? You're saving a lot of money on the copies that you're ordering.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much for telling me that, because with the second book, I switched to publishing direct through Amazon. Previously, I was doing an independent publisher, and they made it impossible for me to get any author copies at all. I was paying more for my own book than customers were on Amazon. So I was often ordering it through Amazon. So that's why I changed direction.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have a printer somewhere around where you live, but you can probably get it cheaper even if it's shipped.
Probably, yeah. I mean, we have tons of printers around here, so I should just take the file there and see what they can do. This is a great idea.
Yeah, they'll give you approved copies and you approve it and away you go. Yeah.
Thank you. No
worries.
Does anyone else have any tips for me? You guys have been at this a lot longer. I'm still really new.
Well, and that's the amazing thing about the author community, and that's how this whole show came about. Is when I started cutting my teeth in 2017, I didn't know how to set up my Amazon account through the States because everything's done through the States. And I reached out to the author community, and David Kelly, I had no idea who he was. He reached out and he said, "Give me a call." So I phoned him. And long distance and everything else, and he walked me through the whole process. And all of a sudden, we formed a friendship, and now we do book shows together, and we actually meet up, and our wives get along together. And the author community is such a wonderful thing, especially the indie community. They're just like it's not a competition. We're all here to help each other. We're not selling bread where people buy it every day. We're selling a book, and you might publish a book once a year. So there's no competition there. It's the author community is very helpful.
Well, we're all offering something different, right? It's different ideas, and I mean,
that's right. We all have our own unique stories, our own unique journeys, and what works for Dave might not work for Christy and I, or vice versa, but it might. So, we can bounce ideas off each other and play with the ideas and mold them to fit me. Dave's a science fiction author. Christy's kind of fantasy, but she's a little bit more historical fantasy, whereas I'm just epic fantasy. So. There's always these ideas that, that kind of works for Chrissy, but it doesn't work for me, but I can play with that idea and make it work for me. So,
yeah, you guys are just so out of my league. Like you have so many creative ideas, and I feel like I'm cheating almost. Like it's just the books wrote themselves, honestly.
We're all the same though at the end of the day, and you got to start somewhere, right?
Sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're just starting your journey just a little bit after us. It won't be long, and you'll be doing these things. You'll be telling everybody, where to get their books done, and how to work with an illustrator, and all these different things that you'll learn. So you're going to add your knowledge to the database, and we're all going to benefit from it. So don't sell yourself short. Thank you.
Do you guys have illustrators like other than your book covers? Do you have like pictures in your books as well?
I do.
And do you do the illustrations?
those are
Oh,
all.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there's a lot of them there. There's about 64 illustrations there, and I have more that aren't even on the wall. But that, they're not cheap, because the illustrators, they deserve the money they charge, because they do a very good job. So I can't afford to have illustrations in every chapter. If I ever reach George R. Martin status, I definitely will, but we're not quite there yet.
Oh, that's amazing. And then, so what kind of, I guess every illustrator has a different agreement, because her and I are me and Sierra Van Ness, it's just, I'll give you $1,000 a book. Okay, there you go. It is like a handshake deal, and she's happy with it, because it's more than double what she was, asking for on Marketplace per page and that sort of thing. So
And you're getting her name out there.
it's getting her name out there, because
Absolutely,
she's also an artist. Like, she does paintings and does like gallery shows and stuff like that. And it's funny, because I went on her website, and it's all, she's like downplaying her talent. She's very much like, oh, I'm not a professional by any means. I'm like, yes, you are. You are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got 2 books published, girl. You got to change your website and own that, because you're amazing. So
That's right.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do my own covers, so
And they're really cool. They're like sci-fi with the spaceships and stuff like that, and they really look like somebody professional.
but I don't have internal art though. Too much work.
Well, because it must be hard in your genre too. Like, you have a vision in your head about what your creative is, so it's almost really difficult to explain that to someone else. So it's a good thing you're talented enough to be able to do your own.
Well, it was more a question of like I was kind of tight and I didn't want to spend the money, so I thought I'd see what I could do.
I learned to draw out of necessity.
and I kind of like I'd done a little bit of that in the past in different jobs. So it's like I'd kind of picked up a few of the skills, and I thought, well, I'll see if I can pull it off. And I thought I didn't do too bad, so it's like I've carried on, and I've got a lot better since I first started. But yeah, it's like it's time consuming,
But
Well, congratulations.
But at least they're unique. They're mine, So
It's all your vision. Like, there's, that's really good.
One of them.
I started dabbling doing my own interiors now, just because it's so expensive to pay illustrators. So I've got a DAZ 3D program. So I'm just taking assets that you buy off them, and then you can manipulate them. Like, if you can give them elven ears, you can elongate everything, and you can totally change the look, so it doesn't look like the stock image that you start working with. So it's almost like a little bit of clay, and you model it. But I certainly don't do the actual drawing itself. That's all done with the assets that I buy. So.
Yeah.
Okay. And so someone was telling me about this with art, like NFTs. So you can start out with like one drawing and then just change that same drawing and then create all these different NFTs, like of like your cat holding a baseball, or then eating a bowl of spaghetti. It's the same cat, but everyone's purchasing a different,
but
unique drawing.
You can manipulate it to the point that you don't recognize it anymore.
Yeah, so you can totally manipulate it.
And you can change like each individual digit on a finger. You can move them around. You get them the graphs. Like, it's the advancement in the technology now is amazing. It's hard to keep up. The problem is you need a very powerful machine to manipulate the 3D generator. So it can be very expensive just buying the hardware just to run the software. So.
Oh yeah, and you lost me. I had to get my husband to log me into StreamYard just to do this interview. There's no way I would know how to do any of that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, on that note, we've gone well beyond what we normally do. We just did that because you had trouble getting in, so we wanted to give you your air time. But before we sign off, first I want to say thank you for joining us. It's really cool. I don't know if we've actually had a children's author on here before. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not sure if we have. Yeah, you might be the first.
Wow! Yay! Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm honored.
But thank you for your persevering and joining us. I imagine it must have been very frustrating for you, and not going out. Oh, so we appreciate you sticking it out and actually getting on the show today. So thank you for joining us today and sharing your story with us. I love the story about the cat. We're cat lovers in this household, so that is close to my heart for sure. But thank you for joining us tonight, and we wish you great success. And your illustrator, like, get the illustrator to believe in. Is it a female?
Yeah, it's just she. Yes.
Yeah, tell her to believe in herself. And that's one of the note in one of my books: is believe in yourself, and the world will follow. And so once she believes that she's professional, the world will too. So
absolutely,
she's
I love
published
that.
now. She's published now with you, so she's a professional, whether she likes it or not.
Yeah, and I think she's riding this journey out with me for a while, even though she's already achieved her nursing degree now and is working in her neonatal position and stuff. But she still makes time for me.
That's great.
No, that's awesome. I think we all have other jobs. You know, we're not quite Stephen King status yet, where we can just depend on the laurels of our writing. But so when's your next book coming out?
Well, I adopted Teddy at Easter time 2 years ago, so I'm kind of hoping the Teddy Gets Adopted story will align perfectly with Easter 2023.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
awesome. And where can we find your books other than your website?
Amazon. Currently, this has all happened so fast where I changed publishers and purchased my rights back to my book, so everything's just on Amazon right now. But I believe Chapters also has it online, and the book depository, places like that. If teachers wanted to order it for their schools, they could go there.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, the local libraries have been supporting me too, so they put it on a website for libraries and stuff as well. So it's just finding those connections and figuring out what to do.
And this is a big learning curve, and just keep learning. It's quite the journey. But anyway, next week. It's actually we won't be airing next week. We're taking Lurking for Legends off between Christmas and New Year's. We actually did have someone scheduled in there, and they were kind enough to bump their post into the new year for us. I didn't realize that it was between Christmas, and I forgot the block calendar. But our next time will be on January 3rd, and it will be with author Esther Ehrman, and that is all the information I have on Esther. Esther has not given us any other information, so maybe she's a mystery writer.
Maybe.
I will reach out to Esther over the holidays and see if we can get some more information. So when we actually put the social media post up the week before, we can tell you a bit about Esther. But we hope that everybody has a Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year before we see you again. And thank you, Christine, for joining us.
Thank you for letting me be your first children's author and your last guest of the season. I'm very honored.
That's right. Yeah, you're the first and last, and that's awesome. So for Christy, Dave, and myself, we wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season. Until we meet again, take good care.
Merry Christmas.